Hey guys, welcome back to another video today. I'm doing a season 19 Thomas Heinlein Explained reaction, took by Thomas Theorist this time. Last time I was Unlucky Tug. Everyone who watches Thomas knows about him. Which is Thomas content on YouTube knows about him, so. This guy's lesser known, but soon you'll be like, probably passing Train Boy soon. Well, in like 2 years' time, if he continues to make content, or you can do what Thomas Sinek did, and upload, blow up, and just quit, and try and make a new channel, but fail. I always knew that his Minecraft channel was gonna fail, because unless you try to be like Tommy or Tubbo, Jack Manifold, then you're not gonna get anywhere. Or even try to be like Harry, Average Harry. I don't know how he got popular. Guess he just lived in Bright. Deemed to tell me that saying, "Oh, I'm near Brighton." Anyway, moving on.
Series 19 is like the black sheep
Let's get into the video
of the CGI series. And that's a shame because I've always secretly loved this season. But did you know there's actually a huge overarching plot to this season? One that is so big yet subtle that it went over many fans' heads? Well, today I am finally going to shed light on this overlooked arc. Many of the episodes in this season take place during each other. There's the obvious ones, like Salty All at Sea, taking place during No Help at All. But then there's less talked about parallels, like how Den and Dart take place on the same day as Best Engine Ever. Or the even lesser talked about parallels, like how Best Engine Ever takes place one day before Lost Treasure. Or how Ryan was foreshadowed in Series 19. Or how the events of Lost Treasure play into Philip coming to the railway. This is a video I have been wanting to make for years, but I've put it off mostly because I wasn't sure of how to share it with you all. But screw it. I'm finally just going to do it. So, this is not a headcanon or a fan theory. This is all true, and so today I am going to explain in great detail as to why it is all true. So, let's begin. Now, there are 4 main episodes and one special that we need to know in order to understand this timeline, and they are Salty All at Sea, No Help at All, Den and Dart, Best Engine Ever, and Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. All these stories are intertwined with one another, 3 being written by Andrew Brenner, and the other 2 being written by Davey Moore and Lee Pressman. We'll also be touching upon Goodbye Fat Controller and the 2 Philip episodes, but I'll save that for later. So, in Salty All at Sea, with Brendan not being as busy, Salty is asked to go work at the mainland. He is apprehensive at first, but eventually goes. And when Salty gets back, we actually see Timothy alongside with Porter at the docks. Then, in No Help at All, we hear the Fat Controller mention at Knapford that Salty is away.
And I sent Salty to the mainland, only now the docks are busy again.
And we see Timothy come to help Porter at the docks. Then later, we even get a recreation of the same shots with Salty coming back to Sodor. And the 3 engines go to help at the clay pits. So yeah, it's pretty clear that these 2 episodes take place along the same timeline. Now, this is where things start to get a little confusing, because also in that scene at Knapford, the Fat Controller mentions that Emily is at the Steamworks.
But Emily is at the Steamworks.
Which is a reference to Best Engine Ever, where Emily breaks down and is taken to the Steamworks by Caitlin. Which means that on the same day when Salty went to sea and Timothy went to work at the clay pits, Emily must have also broken down and was taken to be fixed at the Steamworks. But wait, that's not all. Also in this scene at Knapford, the Fat Controller mentions that Mavis is at the Diesel Works.
But Emily is at the Steamworks, and Mavis is at the Diesel Works.
Which is a reference to the episode Den and Dart, where Mavis gets taken to the Diesel Works and Den works in her place for the day at Farquhar. So that means on this one single day, Den has to be sent to the Farquhar quarry while Mavis is at the Diesel Works, whilst Caitlin is bringing Emily to the Steamworks, but also Salty has gone to the mainland while Timothy had to go to
all this at daytime.
the docks, while Bill and Ben
All this while the sun's still out. I don't know what I said last, so I'm just going to continue.
Are working at the clay pits with Marion. Does that all make sense to everyone? Okay, I think I need to dial this back a bit. So you can probably see now why I've been kind of putting this off, because this whole timeline is a bit of a mess, and where it should start and where it should finish is all a bit all over the place. So let's try and dial this back a bit. So the vast majority of Salty All at Sea takes place before any of this crossing over timeline nonsense stuff happens. The docks isn't too busy, and so Salty is asked to go to the mainland. It should also be noted that the Vicarstown Bridge is being repaired, hence why Salty had to go by ship. However, in Best Engine Ever, the bridge is shown to be fine, so I guess we can presume while Salty went to the mainland, the bridge was then repaired off screen or something? I don't know. But that isn't the only continuity, because in Best Engine Ever, when Emily is feeling sad, we get this line from James.
I know! You can be my back engine tomorrow. I'm heading up the coast to Islesborough.
Which is a reference to Legend of the Lost Treasure, where we actually see James heading up the coast to Islesborough Harbour. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, oh Adam, this is just James going up to this location, it's not a reference. But you're wrong. It is a reference, and I can prove it for a few reasons. 1. Islesborough. Islesborough up to this point in the TV series had never been referenced, so the fact that James would mention such a specific location would be very strange, especially considering the fact it appears in the next special. 2. Same writer. Both Lost Treasure and Best Engine Ever were written by Andrew Brenner, so it makes sense that he would reference his old material. 3. They've done this before. In Tell the Brave, we got a whole episode that took place during the movie, where we follow Gator and Toad, and where we get to see the scene of James being spooked from another perspective. 4. Spoiling the special. So, fun fact, I actually asked Sam Wilkinson about why Series 19 took place before Lost Treasure, and his answer was that the production team didn't like how Series 17 and 18 were spoiling the movies, hence why Series 19 was set before Lost Treasure. This would also explain why an episode like Toad and the Whale had Toad and Oliver bring the whale to Brenham Docks rather than Islesborough Harbour. So, that being said, it would be very strange for them to then suddenly reference something that they kinda don't want to spoil, unless they wanted to be a specific reference to that movie, which is why I think this is a specific reference. But that's not the only reference that we get to Lost Treasure in Best Engine Ever, because earlier that day, when Emily was in the shunting yard, we see Marion heading up the coast.
Don't be silly, Emily. Be proud of yourself.
Now, why would Marion be here passing through the shunting yard? But then you realize she was passing through the shunting yard because she was heading up the coast to the new branch line. So not only do we have Marion passing through the shunting yard on her way up the coast to Islesborough, but in the very next scene we also have James referencing about how he's going up the coast, which we see in Lost Treasure. Meaning that this scene where Emily goes to sleep is the scene that takes place the day before the whole events of Lost Treasure take place. Isn't that so cool? Okay, so not only do we have connections to Lost Treasure through this episode, but now we have this episode connecting to those other episodes, Treasure. You realize she was Best Engine Ever, because earlier that day, when Emily was in the shunting yard, we see Marion heading up the coast.
Don't be silly, Emily. Be proud of yourself.
Now, why would Marion be here passing through the shunting yard? But then you realize she was passing through the shunting yard because she was heading up the coast to the new branch line. So not only do we have Marion passing...
But from this shot, it looks like that she's heading south, but Ozma is north, so she's heading the wrong way. That means she has to take go even further. She'll probably either have to go back the way and go on the turntable, turn back, go the other way, or just keep going, then find like a line that goes the all opposite direction. Then boom. I'm guessing backwards is going to be the way. Yeah, right now Emily's heading north and northwest. That's what it looks like, but it might not be because I don't know. But Marion's looking west, in my opinion. If it was switched the other way around, Marion would be looking east, and she would be on this side, and not this side. So she's just causing herself more like issues. Just in the conversation, she was running late anyway. She was running late.
Through the shunting yard on her way up the coast to Arlesborough, but in the very next scene we also have James referencing about how he's going up the coast, which we see in Lost Treasure, meaning that this scene where Emily goes to sleep is the scene that takes place the day before the whole events of Lost Treasure take place. Isn't that so cool? Okay, so not only do we have connections to Lost Treasure through this episode, but now we have this episode connecting to those other episodes, which also connect to this whole other arc about Salty going to the mainland. Speaking of which, why did the docks become busy again after Salty left? Are you guys sitting down for this? Because I am about to blow your minds.
Alright, let's continue.
Are you guys sitting down for this? Because I am about to blow your minds. The reason the docks became busy again in No Help at All after Salty left was because of the construction of the Harwick branch line. Remember in Lost Treasure how they mentioned about getting more rails and sleepers?
We only went to collect some more rails and sleepers.
Well, in No Help at All, when the docks became busy again and Timothy helps out, we actually see Cranky unloading those very same rails from the ship. Hell, it's even the same 3 flatbeds on the rails. So not only do we have connections to James going up to Arlesborough, or the
Imagine if they had faces. With one of those flatbeds had faces. We're like, yay, we're getting used. Oh, we're about to fall. Oh, great, we're about to fucking fall down a cave and never be seen again. Great.
Marion going up the coastline, but we now have supplies coming in for the branch line explaining why the docks became busy, and we even see the same rails that is later used in the movie. Along with all these other references and connections, we also have another one too, where the Fat Controller mentions about getting another engine.
I never thought I'd say this, Thomas, that I could really do with another engine.
Another engine, sir.
This engine that he's talking about is Ryan, because since Salty is away at sea, and Mavis and Emily are broken down, it only makes sense that he would need a new engine to help out with the construction of the new branch line, hence why he mentions about getting a new engine here, just before supplies come in for the new branch line, and why we then see Ryan in Lost Treasure.
Ah, Ryan, my new tank engine. You're here.
Now at first I wasn't sure if the engine the Fat Controller was referring to here was Philip, as Philip is a new character for Series 19, so I wasn't sure whether or not it was Philip or Ryan he was referencing, until I had another epiphany about Lost Treasure, because one of the things I never understood about Series 19 was the fact that it took place before Lost Treasure, and yet Philip was still somehow present in the shunting yard, despite Thomas shunting in the yard in that movie. Now my question is, why was Philip brought on as a shunter at Knapford? I mean, surely Thomas would do that, until you realise Thomas was doing that in the yard in Lost Treasure before he had his huge crash with the coaches.
Philip could have been sleeping. Thomas!
And it was because of this crash that the Fat Controller then decided to get Philip as a designated shunter at Knapford Yards instead of Thomas doing it, which means all of the other Series 19 episodes take place pre-Lost Treasure, while the Philip episodes actually take place after. There's also the episode Goodbye Fat Controller, where the Fat Controller has his office redecorated. Now, you can read this in 2 ways. Either the Fat Controller got his office redecorated and then it is blown up in Lost Treasure, making the whole scenario ironic, or his office was blown up in Lost Treasure, and because of it being blown up, it was then redecorated. It's kind of unclear in the episode, but I'm leaning more towards it was blown up and then he got redecorated. But you can read it anyway, honestly, because it doesn't matter too much. Which would place it after Lost Treasure, making Goodbye.
That wouldn't most of the stuff in there be gone? Like it's like old phone, his old telephone. Wouldn't that be like blown up smithereens? You know?
by Fat Controller and the Philip episodes the only 3 episodes of Series 19 to take place after Lost Treasure. Since we don't see Philip in these episodes as a shunter, as Stafford can be seen instead, I'm guessing Philip was bought at the very tail end of the timeline. Anyway, so, to recap, Salty All at Sea and No Help at All take place during each other, and Best Engine Ever and Den and Dart also happen to take place on the same day. But in No Help at All, we also have the docks becoming busy again because of supplies coming in for Harwick branch line, and the foreshadowing of Ryan coming to the railway. While in Best Engine Ever, we have Marion going up the coast to the new branch line, and James going down the coast. All of these connections come together to pay off Legend of the Lost Treasure.
Salty going around the island. Timothy helping at random dogs after he left. Emily breaking down. Caitlin coming from the mainland. Which Salty left like here. Bridge fixed. Events. Okay, Jesus Christ, a lot happens in Sword, doesn't it? I mean, there's like 80 apes, 100, over 100 trains. Anyway, let's finish this video.
Then, within Lost Treasure, we have Thomas being a shunter and then him being cheeky, causing a huge crash and ultimately leading to Philip being boss, while the office being blown up, ultimately leading to it being repaired in the next season. So many different plot threads, and yet they're all somehow expertly woven together. We have the general outline, but I want to get specific, so let's go even higher resolution and look at this confusing timeline. So finally, here it is. This is the full timeline of Series 19.
Alright, continue.
Full timeline of Series 19. So, the timeline begins with Salty All at Sea. The docks aren't as busy, so Salty is sent away to the mainland.
There's a dockyard on the mainland that's very busy. They're short of engines and need your help.
He runs away at first before eventually deciding to go. It also should be noted that we actually see Emily in the shed in Salty All at Sea by herself, implying that she had been having trouble before, which is a neat detail. But anyway, while Salty is away at the mainland, supplies for the new Harwick branch line start coming in, and Portia is rushed off his wheels without Salty. Meanwhile, Mavis has an accident at the quarry.
Just what I've got.
And so the Fat Controller asks for Den to help out in her place.
I'll need an engine to take Mavis's place at the quarry, then. Me, sir?
Emily also breaks down on the main line and is taken to the steamworks by Caitlin. Later that same day, the Fat Controller vents to Thomas all about these events, such as Emily being taken to the steamworks,
Emily is at the steamworks,
Mavis being at the diesel works,
and Mavis is at the diesel works,
and Salty being sent off to the mainland,
and I sent Salty to the mainland.
while Portia is looking after the docks.
Only now all the docks are busy again, and poor Porter is rushed off his wheels.
So yeah, all these events happen on the same day somehow. We also get this foreshadowing of the Fat Controller purchasing Rhine for the new branch line.
I never thought I'd say this, Thomas, but I could really do with another engine.
Another engine, sir.
Timothy is sent to help at the docks,
Oh, Timothy! Am I glad to see you?
leaving Marion to deal with the twins in the clay pits.
I can't do everything by myself. You two are supposed to be helping.
Later that evening, Mavis is repaired and is sent back to the quarry, while Den returns to the diesel works.
You'd like to go back to the diesel works now.
Yes, please.
There is a bit of a time jump here where Timothy helps out at the docks while Salty is away, where he helps shunt supplies for the new Harwick branch line. It should also be noted that Emily is still at the steamworks during this time. Eventually, Salty returns from the mainland.
Salty was back.
Timothy can even be seen here when he's being unloaded from the ship.
Timothy would have to return to the clay pits. And he was a bit worried about what he would find there.
Salty, Porter, and Timothy all go off to the clay pits, where they help Bill and Ben get the clay pits back into working order.
We can get this cleaned up in no time.
and presumably help poor Marion too.
We make a team together. One, two. Did that take place before? That plays at the end of Lost Treasure though. So they had it ready in like early 2015 then, or like late 2014. Because that's the only way it can make sense. Because they played in the Lost Treasure and that episode. Okay.
Meanwhile, a few days have passed for Emily, and she is now back out of the steamworks.
A few days later, Emily was back at work on the main line again.
However, she is still feeling sad. In the shunting yard, we see her meet up with Marion on her way down to the construction of the new branch line, presumably after the mess the clay pits was finally cleared up by the dockyard's engines. Later that night, Emily goes to sleep sad. Try and cheer her up, James asks if she would like to go down to Arlesborough with him.
I know! You can be my back engine tomorrow. I'm heading up the coast to Arlesborough.
But Emily declines. The next day is the opening to Lost Treasure, where we see Marion heading down the branch line.
Marion, the railway steam shovel, was on her way to work on the construction of Sir Topham Hatt's new branch line.
As set up in the last scene with her, and James going down the coast with his goods train, as was also set up earlier.
I almost been. I was close to finishing reaction to the Lost Treasure, but got bored. Got seriously bored. I just can't cancel. I just stopped. Just stopped filming. And turns out the Great Race one is supposed to be incorporated, I think. Yeah, the incorporated or taken down, I don't know. But if you want to move the reaction, I've already done one. Go watch it. Part of it had a small chunk of it has been removed because I was trying to remove the copyright, but I was like, nah, it's still you still have an hour and still have 50 minutes out of our movie in your video. So no, you don't say Mattel's the best person ever, best company ever. No. No. Anyway.
The next day, the engine that the Fat Controller was talking about earlier arrives.
I never thought I'd say this, Thomas, that I could really do with another engine.
Another engine, sir?
I think that's where I'm meant to be working.
Ah, Ryan, my new tank engine. You're here.
But not before Thomas causes a huge crash at Knapford, while trying to get Gordon his coaches. This crash gives the Fat Controller the ideal to get a designated shunter at Knapford. At first, Thomas dislikes Ryan, but he soon grows on him.
Thank you for helping me with the burning dynamite. What you did was so brave.
Also, a pirate called Sailor John blows up the Fat Controller's office. And it's because of this that the Fat Controller decides to get his office redecorated. Note how Stafford is also a shunter at Knapford at this point. But eventually, Philip does arrive on the island.
Hello there. My name's Philip. I'm a diesel box cab.
And he becomes the official shunter at Knapford Station. In fact, we even see some unintentional foreshadowing to a shed for Edward, like Edward and Philip meeting for the first time.
Where are you off to?
I'm having a race.
Or Gordon talking about how he should get a new shed.
We really must find that little diesel another shed to sleep in.
And that's the end to the Series 19 timeline. So yeah, meeting for the factory
Diesel
does arrive. Note how Stafford is
My name's Philip. I'm a diesel box cab.
and he becomes the official shunter at Knapford Station. In fact, we even see some unintentional foreshadowing to a shed for Edward, like
For some reason, that image looks fake, and I can't tell if that is actually a real scene. Oh.
Edward and Philip meeting for the first time,
Where are you off to?
I'm having a race.
or Gordon talking about how he should get a new shed.
We really must find that little diesel another shed to sleep in.
And that's the end to the Series 19 timeline. So yeah, that was the weird and confusing timeline of Series 19. I'm not kidding when I say that I've been wanting to make this video for well over 7 years now, and I'm just I'm not kidding when I say that I've been wanting to make this video for well over 7 years now, and I'm just so glad that I finally got to share it with you all. The fact that all these episodes connect in some way just makes it so much more fun to watch them. Thinking about how Mavis is at the Diesel Works here, while Emily's at the Steamworks or Salty's at the mainland, the fact that all these events are just somehow taking place at the same time is so crazy to me and yet so much fun. You know, this is kind of what I live for. I mean, my name is Thomas Theorist after all. As I said at the start of the video, Series 19 is like the black sheep of the CGI series, and I find that such a shame because I honestly think this is one of the best CGI seasons. I just love how stripped backed and easygoing it is. It's a very subtle season, but with its characters and with its references, some of which went over many fans' heads. But what do you all think? Are there any other timelines I should cover? I know Series 21 and Journey Beyond Sodor are begging to be touched, but that's a can of worms I don't know if I want to open. So yeah, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Slán Abhaile.
Oh no.
But that's a can of worms I don't know if I want to open. So yeah, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Slán Abhaile.
I feel like that intentionally because usually the captions will not pick that up. Slong Wanga.
Watching everyone, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Slán Abhaile.
Slong. I can't say that. Anyway, who's Jeffrey Part of Thomas? Thomas is like. I'm not sure what's wrong. How is being paid off and lost treasure? Hmm? Well, he had other people in it. Anyway, great video. 155, and you haven't liked it in the comments for someone to like a dog. Could at least like some comments, you know. Anyway, I know you're a big. Not know you're starting to get a big YouTuber, but anyway, still. Anyway, that's it in this video. It's taking like an hour to record. I had to take a long break for reasons I'm not gonna explain. Reasons I'm obviously not gonna mention. Anyway, I'm gonna try to get this video uploaded in the next hour and a half. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.